Hey guys, want another Tardis console building video. I know it's been a little while, like a month, since I've had an update for you, and I really have no major excuse except that October was kind of crazy for me. I don't know if I mentioned in previous videos, but there's just a lot going on in my personal life. Mainly, my son was born, so at the right beginning of October, so it kind of made things a little interesting this month. It didn't stop me from working on the console, which you're going to see in a moment here, especially if you've been following me on Instagram or on Facebook. You've probably seen some of this detail, but I wanted to take the time to talk to you about what went on in October, which I did take some photos and such. For instance, one of the big things I started doing was priming the entire panels. So as you saw in the previous video, they were built, but I had to start priming and putting the bevel inserts in each of the things. Now, you're going to see what I'm doing the show and tell here in a bit, that I did kind of make a little bit of a goof up, but it's okay, I think, for now especially. But getting them primed was a really first step. I did actually learn a few things while doing this. Mainly, number one was I did do the oval panel because I had to be assembled kind of first with the ring. I brush painted that one before I had it all ready, and it actually, the primer solidified very brushy, and I wasn't happy with that. All the other ones were done with the roller, and I tried to sand away as much as I could, but it was a little bit of a time-intensive thing. It's not 100% where I'd like to be, but it's pretty close. So the pictures you're seeing here are some of the progress. Also, we had a very, very, very nice day. It was the last nice day in October, to which I spent the time painting everything. So now we have silver. And that was really the big step on getting all of this done, was getting everything silver. And I'm so happy with how it came out. In the meantime, during those times of the weeks, I did do some more 3D modeling and changes for some things, as well as laser cutting. And some of the stuff you're seeing here, like the gear panel, I'm really excited, and I'm excited to show you the progress of it so far. But all the gears are pretty much laser cut. I do have to sand and trim them down, and then I get to start assembling them. The cool thing about the gear panel is once it's assembled, it's pretty much done. There's not a lot of electronics to it. There's just electronics in the panel itself. So I'm excited to put that together. But as you can see in the videos, it's pretty fun. The laser, having the ability at FabLab to actually do that, has been incredibly amazing. So I'm really excited for that. The other thing to note, along with the painting things, is I did do some more 3D modeling. One thing I decided that on the one panel, the communications panel, there is a drop drawer, along as one is also on the Helm panel. And really, they put this with MDF to make straight edges. I ran into a bunch of problems because the way I cut this is I cut it before, and when you tilt the 90-degree angles, they become this kind of funky angle. So I ended up cutting myself around this panel to put a 3D insert. And that 3D insert is actually going to be done in the next few days, hopefully at the time of airing of this video. So I'm excited to actually put that in there and then finish in the panel that is in. But in the meantime, we'll go over and show you that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's been a lot of work. A lot of stuff I haven't shown at this point has been the assembling of the parts. Now, all the parts you've seen in my previous videos, most of them have just been putting in holes. I've had success in some ways and frustrations in others, but for the most part, putting everything in the holes that they belong to, just popping them in. Some things are temporary. Some things aren't going to be affixed permanently until electronics, like all the lights and everything like that. But mainly getting everything in there, and we can go panel by panel here in a second here just to show you where it's at. I'm really excited. No electronics have been done yet, no anything. So there are some exciting things coming up that I can't wait to share as we go through. And when we start doing the lighting things, that'll be another video series as we go to show some of the steps on that, because we're finally way past my original build. If you remember my original build, it looked like this, and I was very proud of it. We did a lot of work on it. But I think we made some major improvements, even though there's some things I need to figure out with this one still. I'm really happy. So without further ado, we're going to go around and I'm going to show you each panel and tell you what's upcoming for it, what my plans are, and we'll go from there. I'm really excited to share this with you guys, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, first thing to show you guys is these. Now, these are the panels. I think I mentioned before how every one of them were going to have doors. So each of these doors, which I did get a handle that's not at all accurate. So I get in there and get right through. There's a little bit of a preview with some of my extra work in there. Each one opens and closes pretty easily. I only had one little issue, which is why you can see screws on that one, but I'm pretty proud of how that looks. Mind all the tools and paraphernalia underneath here. As I'm working on it, I have a lot of things out. But you can see, like, The bevels are there. The thing I was mentioning that's a little off is the fact that I didn't get quite over enough here, and it's the same on all of them. Plus, it doesn't quite meet up with the edge properly, but at the same time, I'm very, very pleased. But we'll start off with the Helm panel here. This is where we're at so far. I'm really, really happy with this and excited. We have our switch here. All these frames have been painted. We have our lights installed here. We have my 3D basic sample of the throttle, which I will be working on. We have these guys, which I'm still working on a mounting system to make sure they're on there nice and centered. We have this guy just sitting in the test piece of this guy here. I'm hoping to get this machined. If not, I'll either paint this up or redo it. This did have a little bit of print error. It's a little lopsided. And then of course I got the other one for here, which may end up being a turning knob. We have these guys. Now what's fun about these guys is I'll borrow them from a little bit of a preview here. There we go. This is what these all look like beforehand. If you remember, we mentioned this in the previous video that these were exactly the same that are used in the original, but now it can get red. So I did end up painting these red, and I'm very, very pleased with them. Now also one thing to note is that, as I've mentioned in previous videos, there's 4 of these on the actual build, but because of the scale of my panel, which is actually still fairly large, I can only fit 3, and I think it works really well, but they're all in there. Oops, just bumped that. That's not actually seated properly. But each of these has been really great. Moving up here, I got my new gauges, switches. Now these switches aren't exactly the same. I think I mentioned that before, and I had to kind of go with the best bet. These, I am going to have a video in a couple weeks describing what was involved in getting these. These aren't the right colors. However, I did take a mold, and I'm going to make them the correct orange once again. It looks pretty cool though, being black and orange like that. This stuff up here, which is kind of up here on my semi-working desk of a collar here, I'm going to be working on this 3D printed here, which I'm going to put the frame on, and then we'll work out how all the framing for that works. I'm really happy. I'm really excited to see how well this came out, along with these guys to have the lights to turn on when you click them. This came out really great. I got to do a little bit of repair on this side. Not quite the right screws in here, but I think that's okay because I did have to 3D model all of this. But it works pretty well. This one just kind of, I think, got loose, but this one is a nice pull. But I'm really happy with that. These guys I'm working on doing the bulbs for in here. And then, of course, I got these guys that have to be painted silver and glue down these rings on each of these. And then, of course, the actual handbrake. So I'm really, really excited about this one. I think it's almost done, this one panel, and I've had a number of these parts around for ages, but I'm really, really excited for it. And like I said, it's a lot bigger than it looks. I'll take a little bit of a far picture here, a picture video here in a second. But we'll move over to this way. This is probably one of the most complete panels so far, and it's the mechanical panel. I'm really, really excited about it. I am still working on this panel here, just kind of in there. We got some laser cut pieces for the gauges and the sliding faders. It's gonna look really great. We got our radio. We got these guys, which did take a little bit of back and forth. One of the things I did do is I 3D printed and then redid them several times, but they look great. They are just a 3D printed collar that I created to put that in there. It slides in, and then I will end up doing it in the end, but they're also buttons. I like those kind of things. These were really frustrating. They work really, really well. However, when I was first doing this, these are actually like U-shaped on the inside, the aluminum, so that if it was too tight, it squeezed it and it made it like really hard for them to come down. But these have been actually pretty good. I'm really, really thrilled with them. This piece is actually going to be replaced. I have someone sending me a metal version, so I can't wait to install that and talk about that when it comes in. I can't wait. I was really touched by that. We have over here, now this guy is smaller than the original, but I want to be able to turn it all the way around. And right now this doesn't do anything, and neither does this one. They're just held on by bolts and pads, but they work. Same with this one. It's got a little bit of a thing to go around with it. I'm looking forward to actually installing that and making that screwed on. These guys were 3D printed to match as much as I could, and will eventually light up as well. These are all functional with a nice clicking sound, and will interact with these lights. Same with these will interact with these lights. still have to kind of figure out how I'm doing these. This was a goof up. I don't know why it's not focusing here. This was a little bit of a goof up, so we will be installing that to be a little bit better, redesigning it slightly. But I'm pretty excited about it. This guy is a piece that I have kind of extrapolated, but it is the phone. I'm pretty stoked with how it looks. It's something I'll probably upgrade another time for sure. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool. I think it replicated the look pretty well. It's already starting to gouge inside there like the real one does. These are all installed as well. I got the plugs. The keyboard. Very pleased with that. And of course we have this panel. So we got all these. Stop button. These little buttons. And of course this has some extra ones in there because for the kids, they've really been enjoying it. But it's pretty fun. With these guys, got the gauges, which I still have to kind of finish. They're just kind of framed right now. But yeah, that is that panel. That is the mechanical panel. We're almost done this one. It's really exciting. And I think it looks really, really close. Now we have the fabrication panel, which arguably doesn't have a lot going for it. There's not a lot to it. I'm just going to try and move that. I did put some temporary screws in there, so they're kind of bulging out a little bit on each of them. But you can kind of see. Nice and laser etched by a good friend of mine, Chris. We have our spinning wheels, which I need to find a better way of doing this because it kind of shakes the entire console. I don't know if you can tell. Got some other pieces that I gotta assemble and put on. Some pieces I don't have yet, right? I don't have the bottom base for this. I have this to assemble. I don't have one of the knobs here. So I have a few little things to kind of work out, but I'm really excited. And of course, obviously all the gears and everything. So I'm really excited about this panel. It's looking so good, just as it is so far. Like I said, aside from this just keeping sliding off, but I just need to figure out how the bolt, because everything's actually gonna bolt through all the floors to bolt into there. So next up, we have the communications panel. As I mentioned before, this is the one I'm doing a 3D print for the drawer here. Got the hole that goes in the inside, and this floor will be the bottom. But I wanted to kind of show it off a little bit so you can kind of see. Got this guy here, he goes here. So we have our gauge. We have a few pieces still to add in. I have a lot of work to do for these knobs. We've got all these switches as it slides down. This guy it wasn't quite the right size, so I got to kind of fix with that. But I'm pretty stoked for it anyway. Same with these, just gotta, just a little, I gotta, sand that down. But this fitted great. I'm still figuring out the handles for this. Same with the galvanometer, which will be there. And then of course another stop button and some joysticks. So I'm excited to put these in there. These will be mounted. This whole panel I'm gonna work on as soon as I get the insert for there. I'm really excited for that part. But there's that panel. Here we are in the big open panel here, the diagnostic panel. We have a few pieces that are just kind of haphazard here, so I apologize. But yeah, so one thing I have to do with this one, and you're gonna see some of the photos for the others, is I have to cut away some of this in order to make everything mount. And then that mounts in, that gets glued on top, and voila. So we have, other pieces to add on to it. I'm excited about that. Gotta make some of these for both of these panels. We got these dudes to mount in. I do have the cups for this for the massage balls. But what's more exciting about this particular panel is this guy. Now this is a touchscreen. I think I mentioned this in a previous video. If not, here it is now. And I also got a miniature computer. So what this is going to allow me to do is actually be able to touch and actually have motion graphics as well as some touchscreen aspect to it. So cool, the actual computer. And finally, we have my custom panel. So here it is so far. I had some trouble mounting the chicken head bolts, but I wanted you to see this. I'm still gonna do the door here. This is gonna have these guys just like that, but in blue. I'm just not gonna change them. We have all these buttons, the extra keys for the keyboard, the military radio, which I think I've mentioned before. We got these guys, which will light up. These 3 holes on the other side here are hopefully going to be these guys, which match these pretty well, but also match the ones on the other side. So I'm looking for, let me just set those up real quick, get an idea. we go. Just an idea of what those are. I don't know what they'll do. We have our chicken head screws, or switches. On both sides we have these, which time to turn, activate these lights. And these switches. Nothing to notice here is my classic nod here, as this whole panel kind of is. With these little sliders over here. Keys to go here, got these guys. Some gauges. And this will have, like I said, this will have a door to be like the Fourth Doctor's secondary console. But yeah. And there she is. That is the entire thing. So there we go, there's the progress on the entire console. I have been clicking all this, the kids have been clicking at it. It's gonna be a lot of fun to actually put this up when it's all lit up and lighting and making motions when they come over and do everything. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or questions, please ask me down below. There's still a lot more to do and I can't wait to share them with you guys. Like I said, it's come a long way since that very first video that I ever made about making this console. So I'm really excited to share with you the progress as it goes. But anyway, if you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, let me know. I'm still looking for a lot of parts, so hopefully I will be able to find them. If not, make them, so that'll be some future content as well. And of course, overlaying. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you will see more up-to-date stuff as I can post them on the fly. It's just been hard to kind of create the content to make videos, but hopefully this makes up for it a little bit. I hope you guys are really excited to see this. I hope you guys stay tuned, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for following me on this, and thank you for liking, but most of all, thanks for watching.